Columbia High School, thank you so much for joining us for 11 Alive's Youth Town Hall 2023. In-depth conversations about the people, history, and culture, building the foundation of Atlanta. Solely led by the students, including the generation of tomorrow.
It's important for you all to be here because you are our future.
Welcome to 11 Alive Uninterrupted, exploring the pulse of the culture in Atlanta. I'm your host, Naima Abdullahi. At 11 Alive, we're dedicated to curating meaningful community conversations on how to protect Atlanta's youth and empower the next generation from safety to access and resources. In this special edition of Uninterrupted, we are collaborating with DeKalb County's Columbia High School to hear from the teens themselves about the issues they face and how we can help. Join us as young, bright minds take center stage, delving into real topics that impact them. Conversations for the youth, by the youth. We all have a lot to learn. One of the biggest priorities, figuring out a plan for the future. It can be an overwhelming process and it's hard to know exactly where to start and how to get there. So we worked hard to get some of the students real world experiences and a hands-on way to learn about our profession as journalists. To set up the conversation, Columbia student Leah Johnson paired up with 11 Alive anchor Ron Jones to explore the art of storytelling.
So let's try it again.
Leah, a rising senior at Columbia High School in Decatur.
I've always liked drawing and animation, anything that requires creativity.
So we'll focus on the logo first.
I really am grateful to be here today, honestly, because I've never really had the chance to use my voice.
So let's go get that done.
Seeing the world in a different light.
Because our goal is to inspire, our goal is to motivate.
Leah is learning inspirational storytelling, how ordinary people can overcome extraordinary odds.
What did you learn in this process?
The storytelling process begins with asking her interviewee good questions using the acronym GOAL. G, what are you grateful for? O, what obstacles did you overcome? A, what action steps did you take? And L, what did you learn from that experience? Part of Leah's personal obstacle is confronting a lack of self-confidence.
I've come so far and I have to realize that and remember that.
After a few quick shooting lessons with photojournalist Mike Nicholas and myself, Leah was ready for her first journalistic journey in DeKalb County. Her goal? Interview Cynthia Hernandez, the owner of the Cereal Lab, a unique boutique of combining ice cream with breakfast cereals. Leah jumped right in with her first questions, beginning with G.
Right now, what are you most grateful for?
I am grateful for the support of the community. I opened a business that isn't, a normal kind of, business to open.
O, for obstacles.
What are some obstacles that you face?
The obstacles I faced was being firstly a woman in an industry that I'm not used to.
A, for action steps.
What are some actions you took to overcome your problem?
I took a lot of notes. Anytime I had a question, I got the answer for that question. I took a note, I kept it in my notepad.
And the most important step of the acronym GOAL, L.
And from this whole experience, what have you learned?
I learned that it's not easy, especially to go from, working for a company to being the person that runs a company. If you have the willpower and if you have the motivation, you definitely should go for it. And lastly, no matter how odd your idea is, do it. You fail at 100% of the things that you don't try.
What have you learned in this process?
I think it's amazing. Like you said earlier, a lot of people do stop at the obstacle, but it gets easier when you pass the obstacle because you learn more as you go and it helps you more and more. You become more confident in what you do.
Before we get started with our event today, it is only right to give an opportunity for the principal of Columbia High School to come up and share words of encouragement and words of wisdom going into the school year.
Good evening. I am Dr. Derica Denise Bucci Davis, the proud principal of the Columbia High School, and we are excited today to host our first ever forum. I want to welcome our distinguished guests, all of our parents, our wonderful students that are here, and our panel members. And thank you all for your time and the opportunities to support our vision and mission of improving our communities through us all coming together to talk and discuss and make decisions that are in the best interest of the children, our future.
I wanted to give an opportunity also for a student from Columbia High School to also open up this event. She not only participated from the very beginning, she was also at our first youth town hall. She is passionate, she is driven, she has challenged us to take this product to a whole new level. And I want to give an opportunity for Zion Griffin to come to the stage.
I want you to do me a favor. At the sound of my voice, I would like for you guys to close your eyes. Yes, now. I would like for everyone to take a deep breath and release it. Take another deep breath and release it. Now, I want you to imagine a society where we are embraced by groups of adults who provide the necessities for us, thrive in a secure environment, and attend classrooms that enable us to learn now so we can succeed later.
And our guest today is someone who means so much to this city and so much to community engagement. Jay Bailey, committed to living by his personal motto, build as we climb, change agent, thought leader, entrepreneur, and emerging philanthropist, James M. Bailey has dedicated his life to serving others. And this youth town hall is for the youth, by the youth, so I will hand it over to them to kick off the co-moderated discussion with Jay Bailey.
I wanted to ask you, do youth of color feel limited when choosing their career path?
I'm a firm believer that you become what you behold. Can anybody name 3 black billionaires? The real answer is it's too hard to think, right? And I think that as you start to talk about pathways to what you want to become, we've got to create examples. Because I'll give you a tip. Everybody in the audience, you're a senior? Yes. You're a sophomore? Yes. Or you know what you want to do?
Yes.
What?
I know I want to do fashion and movies.
Fashion?
Yes.
Animation.
Animation. I heard some software engineers out there. Medicine was one of your answers, right? Yours was architecture. Well, mind you, H.J. Russell created the largest black-owned real estate company in the history of America. So you and I should probably talk, but I will give you one tip. While you guys are in high school and you have computers and cell phones, if you want to be a software engineer, if you want to go into fashion, any area that you want to go in, Google the top 10 black people in that space. Find your role models if they're not right in front of you. Go out and seek the people that you want to become. Take the knowledge that they give you through experience and go even further than they ever went. And I guarantee most people want to help.
So what type of resources and opportunities do you feel like can be provided to the Atlanta youth to help them career-rise?
I went to Snapfinger Elementary. I grew up right behind Columbia High School, so Decatur all day long, 30032. However, I didn't know what an MBA was until I got to be a sophomore in college. I had only set foot on one college campus before I started my first day in college. So I think one of the greatest opportunities to fast forward all of our youth in Atlanta is by upping the amount of exposure and connectivity to their dreams. But I think one other thing that we can also do, we got to talk to y'all. We got to ask the question of y'all, what are your biggest dreams? What makes your heart beat? What are you most passionate about? What do you want to do? What are you interested in? And help students lead through aspiration more than just education.
And for most of the parents that are in here, how can they help nurture the imagination of the youth as they raise them, especially as they're also breaking barriers that are first generation oftentimes?
I think it's communication. I think that far too often we stay in our screens and the parents over there doing one thing, the kids over in the screen another. Like finding the time to find what interests the kid, your child, your student. And then in the very same way I said to the youth about seeking out those role models, those parents can take an active role as well.
Learning on the job. Watch what happens when we take a group of students out of the classroom and into the workforce. That's up next. Welcome back to 11 Alive Uninterrupted and this special conversation about protecting Atlanta's youth. With the help of students from DeKalb's Columbia High School, over the course of 3 months, they told us one of the things that weigh heavy on their mind is figuring out how to prepare for life beyond the hallway and into the real world. So, with the help of SCAD, we took the students out of the classroom and into action. to see what it takes to partner with people in the real world. The students of Columbia High also continued these career conversations with Jay Bailey during our town hall.
What is your favorite thing about teaching at SCAD?
SCAD is like a playground for creativity. I like the stimulation. It's an incredible place for whatever your creative interests are.
What advice would you give somebody attending SCAD or about to attend SCAD? Like, what would your advice be to them?
Prepare for the workload. I know that sounds daunting, but it is fun. You will have a lot of fun working on stuff, but there is a lot of work.
You'll get to learn so much more how open-minded you are, and you get to learn new skill sets and take on these new challenges that you've never done before. And
like, what type of opportunities do you guys get there?
SCAD's really great on opening the doors and providing the opportunities, but it is up to you to kind of take advantage of it.
Oh, that would be so cool.
What do you feel differentiates your students from each other?
You gotta be fearless because the resources are there and technology is expanding so rapidly that it's actually, I feel like you have to hustle, you gotta keep up with all the changes. You guys have been awesome. Thanks for hanging out.
Thank you.
How much does income affect what career path someone may choose to go into?
That's a really hard question because you sometimes have to match your passion with a paycheck. What are the things that you're most interested in, and find career paths that actually tap into that, and then you'll find some level of prosperity. It may not be in cash in the bank, but well-being and wellness and fulfillment are also ways that you can have currency. It just may not be cash.
So along with the wellness idea, how can we as youth find more of an inclusive and diverse space for us teenagers to feel welcome?
Wow. I have the great honor of building and running the largest center in the world dedicated to growing, scaling, and developing Black businesses. And our primary focus is creating a space of deep belonging where our entrepreneurs feel like they belong. And so hold on to your friends. And one of the best pieces of advice I ever got was from Ambassador Andrew Young. And he told me, son, you better make your friends before you need them. So for high school students, and certainly those going to college, somebody in this room is going to make it to the NFL. Somebody in this room is going to be the CEO of an organization. Somebody in this room is going to own the restaurant down the street. And you knew them when they were 14, 15, 16. And I guarantee as you get older, the thing that you value most, the more successful that you get, authentic friendships that you can count on are the most valuable thing in your life.
Up next, the students discussed the power of social media. And Georgia's chapter president of NAACP offers advice on how the teens can rewrite the narrative by using social media to inspire their generation. We're continuing our conversation for the youth, by the youth, in this special edition of 11 Alive Uninterrupted. During months of collaboration with the students at DeKalb's Columbia High School, we learned so much about the challenges they face, including the pressures of social media. The Columbia High School students sat down with the Georgia chapter president of the NAACP, attorney Gerald Griggs, to learn more about the power of social media's influence on young lives. But first, an inside look with the teens about how they're navigating the negativity on different platforms.
My name is Janiyah Walker. I am going to the 10th grade.
My name is Jeremy Hall. I'm a rising 10th grader.
I'm Kamara Jenkins, going to the 10th grade of Columbia High School.
Why is the discussion about social media important to you?
Well, social media is something each of us get on every morning or every day. One thing about our generation is we tend to record everything.
You can basically chop social media up into 3 categories: positive, negative, and ugly.
There's too much content that's just there that's probably not appropriate for everyone to see.
And with the negativity of the influence on social media, what does that look like for the youth who are experiencing heavy pressures already in their everyday lives and they see on their timelines things that can influence them in the wrong way.
So in my research, I read that 86% of teens 16 to 24 feels like social media negatively impacts their happiness.
I think it really takes a toll on them. I think it affects everyone that watches it.
You could be painting a false narrative and it can make you feel some type of way. They only show you what they want you to see. Cyberbullying is a really big thing with social media. From personal experience, I was one of them kids that always wanted to bark back and I didn't want to just leave it alone. I just had to step away from it for my mental health and my sanity.
You know, one thing that I saw, social media influence is bullying, crimes that we see on IG Live. How much of a heaviness does that add to the youth lives?
Seeing a lot of violence could traumatize you, like especially if you're not used to stuff like that.
That can impact youth lives by them seeing different gun violence and then they wonder, am I safe?
How have you been able to navigate through the pressures of social media?
I look at what's familiar to me. So if you are liking and following a bunch of positive things, then you can probably steer away from most of the negative.
What I do is, if I've been on social media for too long, I delete it off my phone just for like maybe a week or two and to see how that goes.
I heard a quote by Dr. King. He said, if you can't fly, run. If you can't run, walk. If you can't walk, crawl. But by all means, keep moving.
Balancing it all, how lessons from the past can help us leverage the power of being digitally connected. Next, getting an education in social media. As we continue a much-needed youth-led conversations for the youth, by the youth, the students sat down with the Georgia chapter president of the NAACP, attorney Gerald Griggs, for his perspective about social media's influence on young lives.
So my first question is, how has social media impacted social justice and activism for Black lives?
And that's a great question. Thank you for having me. Social media has been impactful in Atlanta and around the world, particularly in Freedom Summer 2020, which was about George Floyd and Breonna Taylor and Ahmaud Arbery and so many others, Rayshard Brooks, was all organized on social media. So in the birthplace of civil rights, social media has helped reignite and potentially made Atlanta the birthplace of social justice.
My question is, in what ways can social media, cyberbullying negatively impacts the youth mental health? There
are laws in place to make sure that things like that don't happen, whether that's anti-bullying laws in the schools or cyberbullying laws for online behavior. But we have to realize that social media is run by the algorithm. And so whatever you're liking, whatever you're watching for longer than 3 seconds, it's going to feed that to you because it believes that you want to partake in that. And we have to make sure we understand, one, it's not real. Two, it's placed in front of you by the machine because of your interaction with that content. And three, we should be able to control what we are taking in and what we are absorbing into our bodies.
Do you believe that the power of social media has made our generation aware of what's going on in the world?
Absolutely. Every day I get up and I read the news. It informs us about things that are happening far away from us. We wouldn't have known about 9 minutes and 29 seconds that a man was choked to death in Minnesota, and it changed the course of this generation. So I believe social media has changed the conversation for the better, and we have to make sure we harness that power and make sure that it is world changing and world impacting. But yes, it's changed the conversation.
My next question is, how can we ensure that the youth voices are heard?
So I just think that we need to lift those voices up. We need to provide positive feedback. We need to listen more than we speak, because you guys are informing us of how to be better parents, how to be better professionals, how to be better versions of ourselves, because we know you're watching.
Okay, and my next question would be, do you think that social media is the leading cause of a broken society?
No, I think social media is amplifying the conversations and the fractures that have been going on for a long time. Racism and hate bigotry, sexism, xenophobia, all of those isms didn't just come about because of social media. It just amplified it. And so I think that it's incumbent upon my generation and the generation above mine to have a real conversation of the genesis of these hateful and despicable things that are being amplified through a new screen. You know, I'll give you an example. When I was young, my parents would always say, don't spend so much time in front of the television, it'll rot your brain. Well, now we're spending time in front of all of these screens, and the content that's being streamed to us, some of it is good and some of it is bad, but a majority of it is a reflection of our day-to-day lives and the conversations we need to have about some of the individuals that are in our community that are not being beneficial to our community.
Okay, and my last question is, any advice for the youth and how they can be the voice of their generation?
Never be afraid to speak up. You know, my mentor always said, if you see something that's not right, you need to speak up. You need to call it out. You need to get in the way, and that's the Honorable Representative John Lewis. He always said that we need to make sure that we get in some good and necessary trouble. It's incumbent upon your generation to do that. You have to remember, in the movement, he was 14 or 15 years old when he first wrote Dr. King. So never let an adult tell you you're too young to voice your opinion. You're too young to lead on an issue, because all of them were young when they started. All of them were young when they transformed this country. And you guys are the ones that are going to transform this country. Now you're going to need a little help from my generation, the professional generation, and we'll deal with the wisdom generation, you know, because they're very opinionated. They'll tell you, you need to sit down. Well, we'll deal with them while y'all stand up and speak out and speak truth to power, both in season and out of season, and use those screens on social media to do it.
This is only the beginning of the conversation. There's so much more, including another half hour where we discuss mental health, the pressures teens face and how to understand it, and what to do when things get hard from the people who've been there. It's a powerful and revealing exchange that no parent or teen can avoid. We've posted it all, along with resources and information about this project online. That website is 11alive.com/protectatlyouth. Welcome to 11 Alive Uninterrupted, exploring the pulse of the culture in Atlanta. I'm your host, Naima Abdullahi. At 11 Alive, we're dedicated to curating meaningful community conversations on how to protect Atlanta's youth and empower the next generation, from safety to access and resources. In this special edition of Uninterrupted, we are collaborating with DeKalb County's Columbia High School to hear from teens themselves about the issues they face and how we can help. Join us as young, bright minds take center stage, delving into real topics that impact them, revealing conversations for the youth, by the youth, and we all have a lot to learn. We spent the summer learning from an incredible group of young people who truly want the tools and the resources they need to have a brighter future. But between the pressures of social media in their personal lives and from their peers, it takes a toll on their mental health. So we sat down with the students to break down it all and how it impacts them. It's a roundtable featuring the students' perspective on mental health, with Atlanta hip-hop artist Trans Lee joining the conversation. What does mental health mean to you and the journey that a lot of youth go through?
I feel like mental health doesn't necessarily have like a meaning. I feel like no one is truly completely mentally healthy. Everyone struggles with things and everyone has their moments.
Like the way life goes on and life continues, you're never going to be whole. Most people are content in life.
Do you feel like the youth feels heard?
The generation before us often be like, oh, well, we did this, we're fine, or we went through this, and y'all struggles aren't. It puts out the message that our struggles aren't as important.
We always want to feel comfortable. You're gonna be uncomfortable. Life is uncomfortable. You have to be able to move through the uncomfortability, because uncomfortable is only a moment.
You can tell me to be happy about something, but the point is, I'm not happy about this. but there's still this problem that's weighing me down. The fact of the matter is that we have to solve this problem. You have to help me with this problem so that I can solve it, and then that's when I can be happy about everything and not just this thing that you're telling me to focus on.
Lots of kids aren't able to actually feel how they feel. That's how you get misplaced anger and all this aggression. We're so aggressive towards each other because that's all that
we know.
That like I don't know how to be sad. I don't know how to do these things. I just know how to tell you shut up. That's what I know how to do.
Feel your feelings. And allowing people the space to feel their feelings. It's not always, I need a quick solution.
Most of y'all are the strong friends in your friend groups, right? Like that person they can always rely on. When you wrote the piece, Strong Friends, I was kind of wondering if you could share it with them.
Strong friends don't come a dime a dozen. Strong friends rarely even show a sign of struggling. Strong friends never ask for nothing. Strong friends can hold it in. Strong friends carry burdens and get the least love when they be most deserving. Strong friends mostly listen and barely get a word in. Strong friends never ask for nothing. Strong friends seem perfect but only showing you what's on the surface. And they be the ones that least expect it. Be having suicidal thoughts just trying to redirect it, but can't nobody ease the pressure. Why? Because ain't nobody there. They tried the subliminal cries for help, but ain't nobody care. Assume they happy because they LOLing and posting the memes. But like Young Dro, everyone needs a shoulder to lean. Look around, nothing but anxiety promoted for free. What is that telling me? Check on your strong friends.
You okay, Mom? It's okay. It's okay. It's so much strength in your emotions.
Might as well be love on each other. Like, especially in a time where everybody mad, love on your friend.
So sometimes we're told resiliency is just to be strong, but like strength is also in showing your true emotions.
And y'all are the generation that's gonna do it. Like, because y'all actually know what the problem is.
I personally reached out to Shanti Das, and I will introduce her. Shanti Das is an accomplished entertainment industry veteran, speaker, author, and philanthropist. Shanti worked in the entertainment business for over 25 years. On a personal note, Shanti has suffered from depression, anxiety over the years, and has also experienced loved ones affected with mental health disorders. She launched Silence the Shame Incorporated, a mental health movement to help communities in need. So round of applause for Shanti Das. And our next panelist is Rashid Edwards. Rashid Coach Edwards is an associate therapist, consultant, and hypnotherapist with a master's degree in clinical mental health counseling from South University in Columbia, South Carolina. And this will be a discussion solely led by the students, so I'm gonna step aside and let Zion and Elena take over.
I just wanted to know, do you think mental health is the same as happiness?
Well, thank you, Elena, for that question. Really great question. I tell people, mental health is how you think, how you act, and how you feel, right? It gives us the ability to get up every day to either go to school or go to work, provide for our families, have good relationships with our friends. Life throws us curveballs, and so sometimes, our emotions can be high, we can be very happy, and sometimes our emotions can be very low. And our emotions are triggered around things that happen within our surroundings, our circumstances, our family, our friends. For me, my father died by suicide when I was a very young girl. I was 7 months old. And so I was not happy for a long time, wanting to know what happened to my dad, why he did it. And then as I got older and started, talking to friends and family more and really leaning on the people that I loved, I found ways to find joy again, right? And so I think it depends on your circumstance and what you're going through. So sometimes you can be happy, and that means that you're in a great place as it relates to your mental health, but sometimes you can be down.
Silencing the shame, understanding struggles students face, and what we can do to help them get through it. That's next.
Words. They are something so beautiful and kind, yet dangerous and heartbreaking. They run around in my head like it's their own personal playground, running, jumping, screaming, but most of all creating a mess. Words are my world, but only when written. When written, they are patient. When spoken, they are hard and fast. I breathe words, hear words, feel words. Some are sticky and mushy, and they cling to you and weigh you down, while others wrap you in a blanket of warmth and build armor around you. Each letter bounces around on my skin, on my tongue, in my head. The headaches are filled with words behind my eyes, prickles on my skin, and chaos in my mind. I dream of the order and peace that could be my head, lined with shelves filled with books, covered from page to page with words, whether good or bad. They are calm and in order. Yet I still wake to the bouncing energy of the same words, wishing to be anywhere but my own head. Still, I love words. They are my peace, my every breath, my every tear. I am words blowing in the wind. I feel like words tightly tucked in between the hard cover of a dusty book that hasn't been read until today. Words.
And that was Columbia student Elena Joyner-Cobb. She is passionate about helping others and reaching her goal of one day becoming an obstetrician. She shared her spoken word with us about the pressures and power of being in high school. Her words help serve as a guide while we continue our discussion with longtime music industry executive Shanti Das and therapist Rashid Edwards.
So my next question is, why do you think mental health has been so stigmatized in the past?
I'll let you take that one.
So, mental health has it's gotten a bad rap in the past. And then, you know, in most of our households, you know, one of the things that we're told early on, right, is what happens in this household stays in this household. So when you talk about going to a therapist or talking to someone about it, it's like, nah, you can't do that. But in all actuality, again, mental health, seeking help is strength in that. It doesn't make you weak. It doesn't make you bad, or you don't even have to have a mental illness to go see a therapist. Sometimes people go see therapists just to work on their goals. So, you know, again, people can be a little distrustful, but hopefully, you know, in this day and age, and I trust and I see that we are making that shift, that we're becoming a little more trustful of the mental health field and mental health professionals.
And if I can quickly add to that, nobody wants to feel like anything is wrong with them, right? So if somebody says, I'm not feeling good, they're like, oh, well, what's wrong? And if you tell them it's my mental health and there's so much stigma that exists, then you're going to be a little bit apprehensive about telling somebody what's going on. And we all have social media, right? So we scroll through, I call it the highlight reel, right? Looking at all the good times, everybody turning up on vacation, or somebody got the new J's going back to school. So we don't really know what's going on, right, when things aren't good. Right. And so that's why I think we don't want to feel ashamed or embarrassed if we tell somebody something is wrong and we're not at our best, or we're not always in that Instagram moment, right? But it's nothing wrong with being able to honor your feelings and process through them, like I talked about earlier. So don't worry about being perfect. The whole idea of perfectionism, it doesn't matter, doesn't make any sense. Don't worry about stigma, that, you know, that word that I feel like has plagued our community for so long. I think it actually shows courage, right, and power and resilience in being able to honor your feelings and get the help that you need.
Are there cures for mental health problems, or do you think there are just ways to suppress them?
So we have to be careful about the term cure, but are there ways of you know, transitioning, changing, or being better in your mental health? Absolutely. Everything isn't about suppression. Now, I know in therapy, one of the things we talk about is coping. And that kind of sounds a little bit maybe backhanded a little bit when you say coping with something, but in all actuality, you can push beyond just coping, and you can work to building yourself up, becoming more resilient, finding more coping skills and strategies to help make whatever situation you're dealing with better.
So my next question would be, how do you guys feel about suicide being a leading cause amongst teens?
Well, for me, I'll just start briefly. One, that makes me really sad that our teens feel like suicide is an option. I really feel like it should not be an option, but I'm not a hypocrite. I'm not embarrassed to say also that in 2015, I came close to taking my own life. My best friend died by suicide in 2014, and it sent me on a downward spiral because I had talked to her and I didn't really see the warning signs. I wasn't an advocate at that time, so I didn't really understand a lot about it. And so once I was in my really dark space and I got the help that I needed, I knew that it was my life's mission and God's assignment in my life to help other people to understand that, yes, sometimes we all are taken down that dark path. If there's a traumatic experience or an event or an illness or, a death of a family member or something traumatic that happens in our lives that allows us to have suicidal ideation, the important thing also to remember is hope is always alive, right? And help is always out there. So I'll say to the teens, if anybody ever feels like you're at that low point, just don't be afraid to open up.
I want to say to all of you, you all matter.
Mm-hmm.
And if you haven't heard someone tell you that lately, if you haven't heard someone tell you that they care about you, it's important for you all to be here because you are our future. One of the things about suicidality is that typically it sits on top of depression.
Mm-hmm.
And depression is one of those things where we're kind of locked in this feedback, this loop of behavioral feedback where we're doing the same things, feeling the same way, and feeling stuck. Mm-hmm. And so one of the things you need to do, as Ms. Dawes was saying, is just be open to letting someone in.
So my last question would be, when will we see facilities where teens can learn how to communicate free of judgment and openly?
Oh, I love that. So I'll speak briefly on the work that we're doing. I have a nonprofit called Silence the Shame. And we have our staff here today, Jewel and Naya, they do such incredible work. We have these teen cope clinics. Mm-hmm. So we're providing opportunities for you to get together and gather and talk as we're doing, right? We have fireside chats led by teens. So we're hoping that you will join forces with us. So we're looking to do that more and more with different school systems throughout the city of Atlanta. And it really is finding like-minded teens and other individuals so you can open up and be yourself. So there's so many wonderful organizations and school systems that are already putting some of these type of activities in place. So please, check us out at silencetheshame.com because we would love to get you all involved. We also have a Silence the Shame teen page where you can create your own content. We can do podcasts and really get the message out there so that you all can really feel comfortable amongst yourselves. Because I know, again, we the adults, you don't always want to talk to your parents, right, and your aunties, but you want a safe place and space, to your point, where you can get together and talk about these type of ideas and topics. And so I think at Silence the Shame, we have a lot of things already in place that you would find valuable. And we're looking for youth advisors also. So hopefully we can partner with Columbia.
I really appreciate you guys tonight. You guys answered all of our questions amazingly, and you also opened up more resources for the people in the audience to let them know where they can find you guys or how you guys can help. So I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Can you all indulge me for 2 seconds? I just need you to repeat after me. I am love.
I am loved.
I am peace.
I am peace.
I am joy.
I am joy.
I am all that I need to be.
I am all that I need to be.
I am enough.
I am enough.
Thank you.
Making it happen. Hear from the teacher who's inspiring these students to reach for their fullest potential. His powerful message to help us all. We want you to hear from an influential educator at Columbia High, Mr. Bobby Frazier. He prefers to remain behind the scenes without recognition for the hard work he does every single day in the classroom. But after our first town hall back in May, he was the one who asked if we could bring the next event at Columbia High School's campus. It was through his vision for the students that 11 Alive had the opportunity to collaborate and make that vision into reality. This is his direct message for the community as a mentor and as a longtime educator.
It was hard for me to not say anything because I'm so trying to always push people to the front. We don't want the glory or the attention. We just want to do the work. And so me doing this wasn't for me. Me doing this was because kids that I believe in. I try not to get emotional because I see how brilliant they are. I don't know if other people see it, but I see it. And I never give them credit because their job is not done. My job is not done. And so I just want us to be careful in how we treat them and what we do with them. I always try to understand where I was at this age. And I was not as thorough and I was not as brilliant as they are. And I want you guys to understand, if we just give them a chance, just one chance, even when they fall, pick them up and pat them on the back. But I want you to understand something. You guys are brilliant. I want you to understand everything that you want, you can have. And if it's one adult that's gonna stand with you, I'm gonna stand with you. So when other adults don't wanna stand, just call me, I'll fly with you. And to the rest of the room, I love all of you. And I want you to start taking these kids seriously, because at the end of the day, they are the ones that will bring it home for us. And we gotta believe in them. So I believe in you. So I just want to say thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us for this special edition of 11 Alive Uninterrupted, Culture Conversations by Atlanta and for Atlanta. I'm your host, Naima Abdullahi. This is only the beginning of the discussion. We posted it all, along with resources and information about this project online. That website is 11alive.com/protectatlYouth.